We got us a true local pastor from the area. We've just come back from the Christmas break, so it's a great way to start out. And he reached out to us, last semester?
Yeah.
And supposedly there's miracle donuts that are going to arrive. And but anyway, no, I'm joking. I'm not joking about the donuts. I'm joking about they're going to rain down spiritually. But anyway, we're just going to talk to Tex and put some questions and comments to him and everything. He's a neighbor right down the road. Introduced me to Cave Coffee Shop, which has turned out to be a really good thing.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, so I'll let him just go ahead and introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, so my name is Tex. That's my nickname. Legal name is Michael, but that's a long story. I am the.
You're not hiding from anybody.
No, not that I can admit online here.
Okay.
But I'm the young adults pastor and young families pastor at Northfield Church here in Gallatin. Jumped on board in September. Come from years of educational ministry and high school ministry in Colorado, and my family and I moved here back in the fall of 21. So. We're excited to be new transplants to Tennessee.
Yeah. And the other good news, I'll go ahead and tell him since he didn't share it with you. He lives over in beautiful Greenbrier, Tennessee, which is the same place I live. And it's a very unique area.
It is. Beautiful. The Briar.
Yeah, it is. The Briar. It is beautiful. And they are getting a Waffle House. And anybody that's from the South knows how important you got to have a Waffle House if you're going to be anybody. So anyway, actually, you had reached out to us and sent an email. And I want to be real honest with people. I kind of freaked out a little bit when I got it. I was like, well, who is this guy? And I'm getting an email and talking about reaching out and helping the school and all this. And I'm thinking, I've been here for a long time and I haven't gotten any emails like that from not to put down other local churches, but hadn't received anything. And then whenever I got together and met with you, I was like, well, this guy's real sincere. And so I went over to the church a couple of times and had a lot of students from here that are there. So it was just really cool. Yeah. And you're the third pastor we've had on. We had one from Gallatin. I wish I could remember his last name. Great guy. And then we had a guy from Montana. Now he was intense.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, he was an evangelist. Oh buddy, he was flowing. Let's just put it like that. And then now we have you on, which I think is good because some of the stuff that's getting ready to happen, a lot of it wouldn't happen without you. Just to be honest. And Rachel, who's the other partner in the podcast, has helped kind of put all that stuff together. So anyway, just tell me about what you do at the church, and then we'll talk about how it connects to the students.
Yeah, so I wear
they'll know the groups that you're with.
Yeah. So I wear a couple of different hats at the church. One hat, is the young families pastor. So I oversee helping grow and cultivate faith within our families from birth to 12th grade, helping those families, really the parents specifically, whether it's through classes or events to build community, really just empower and equip those parents with those spiritual tools to grow faith in their home. And then the other hat that I wear is our young adults pastor. So my job is to come in and help create community for those who are 18, so out of high school, all the way through, we'll call it the 30s. Kind of keep that number vague, but what we're trying to do is capture and create community and really just an authenticity, a place that's authentic for folks to come together, connect, and do life together in that life stage.
Well, you keep using the word community, which is one place I want to go back to. One of the reasons why this podcast was created and why Rachel and the stuff that we're trying to do with it going forward, which is to do some other activities and try to bring students together, is the lack of community on this campus. This age group, at least from what I can experience, don't know how to create community.
Sure.
So have you found that at the church?
Well, I think you find it all over the place.
Yeah, I know. So how do you tackle that?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you, that's one of our big problems here.
Yeah, I think the big piece for us that we've realized is that this generation craves authentic community.
Oh, yeah.
So not just community where you're meeting at a certain time in the church or at a church event, but they want to be doing life with each other in an authentic way. This generation is very social media driven, so they're always looking down. They're siloed in social media, and so the heart of a lot of what we do is try to create authentic spaces where we can connect and we can have real life conversations, share a meal around a table.
Really?
But it's a tough culture right now where it's all about us, and so you're always looking in, and I'm guilty of that, but it's like, hey, we want to open up eyes and open up opportunities where we can come together and share life together.
And that's really what we've run into here, even though we're just now starting. it's like, we kind of sit there, and then the people that we've been able to bring on board to kind of advise us and help us, and we're just praying, like, come February 13th is going to be our first thing over at Cave, is that it's well attended, and that we can use that opportunity to try to, once again, get them connected with social media so that we can go forward from there. And I'm real nervous about it, but I'm a true believer. I say, if you're following God's plan, I do what he tells me to do, and then it's up to him to do the rest.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we have a good turnout. So
I think you will, and I think you have a tough task too as a community college, in that people are driving in, going to class, driving out.
Yep.
They're not living here. They're not eating here necessarily all the meals like you would at a 4-year school. So you've got a big challenge ahead of you.
One of the things that we were talking about doing is come spring, when it's warmer and then we get to Easter, we're talking about doing a huge Easter egg hunt for the students out in front of the front lawn, where here's Gallatin Road and here's the front lawn. So the people from the area are going to be driving by and be freaked out. Because for money and an egg, how aggressive do you think some of these people could be?
I think you should get a helicopter and have them drop it or something. You should amp it up here a little bit. No pressure.
That just cracks me up. So anyway, we're also talking about, at the very end of the semester, which will be our end of our year, MTSU did this with several of their Christian groups. They did a massive water balloon fight. I
love it.
And we have a quad, so if you're on the concrete, our idea is you're in the no-kill zone. If you're inside the quad, then you're free.
Watch
so
out.
if you're faculty, staff, or visitor, be prepared.
Wear your bathing
And so
suit.
we're hoping to build, but then the other thing, I wanted to relate it back to you, is it's not all about just, having fun and games. It's about going back to Jesus. And everything that we read, I think you might have even shared with us, to build that, you got to build the community first to introduce Jesus. And if you try to do Jesus first and then the other, it's for some reason it doesn't work. Have you run into that problem? Or is that...
Yeah.
How'd you overcome that?
Well, I think it's just a continual...
Or you're still overcoming it.
Yeah, I think it's a continual game, in that you're trying to build rapport with people. You're not going to walk into a store and trust somebody's word instantly if you just met them in the aisle. So you have to have that relationship before you get to the meat. And so I think that's part of young adult ministry and community college life, is you want to know people before you have to throw in nuggets of truth. You have to gain their trust. Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. I love people, but you're absolutely right, because once I've had them in class, then you see them out someplace or whatever, and I joke with them all the time. So it's really fun. And the thing is, on our campus though, there are so many people that I talk to that there's a genuine desire to have this. The guys talk about their inability to communicate with women. That's something, because I come from a different generation. We didn't have social media and all the other stuff. You had to have game.
You gotta be ready.
These guys ain't got any game. I'm just going to tell you straight up. But then the women are the same way. They'll even in class say stuff, and I'm like, man, how do you even date? And they looked at me and they go, we don't. And so I'm like, well, that's got to be tough. Hey, one thing I wanted you to comment on, you did this thing, what was it, fire pits and flannel?
Flannels and fire pits.
I thought that was really cool, because one, I love flannels, and number two, I love fires. So did that turn out okay?
Yeah, it went great. I wasn't sure if we'd have 4 people or 40 people. We ended up having 75 folks, and we just had a great time. Again, we just created a space to have community. So we had a food truck there, gave out free dinner, we had fire pits and cornhole and all the games and stuff. But I think at the end of the night, the thing that stood out to me is everybody just lingering and talking. People just wanted a place. If you create the space and you open up the door for opportunity, folks will come.
Well, that's kind of what we're hoping about. So to do the Cave thing first, we're going to call it Open Mic Night, because it's right before Valentine's.
I love it.
And then we're also going to do it as it's a fallback plan. I'm going to put together a quiz bowl. I used to do those in high school, and people like competition. And you have to be in a group of 4.
Okay.
So if you don't come with 3 other people, then you're going to be placed with people. Nice. So the whole idea is, once again, continually try to connect with them, and then going forward from there, each month, try to do some activity that will bring them together and just keep going forward. Because it'll be over before you know it. And then if this works, then build it for next year, and then just keep going like that. So it's pretty cool.
I love it.
Well, what about something else I want to talk about is, because obviously this is called New South Christians, and you're not originally from here, but you seem like a real smart guy. We have, this is the old school area. I don't know how much you've been baptized into it, but my grandmother, for example, the judgment was harsh on you all the time. Hey, you're going to burn in hell for that. You're gonna my mother used to tell me all the time, you lie, you're going to burn in hell. The judgment was on you all the time. They didn't mess around. This was was all old school.
Yeah.
But see, one of the reasons why the podcast was started is because I started praying about it, and I thought, well, those people are dead and gone. These are the New South Christians that are in these classrooms, and guess what? They don't roll that way.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. I want you to comment on this. They have, for example, when I was looking at the statistics, they said like 40% of this generation qualifies themselves as, they call themselves nuns, N-O-N-E-S, which means I'm spiritual but not religious. I guess God could be in the tree out there or whatever. I mean, it's just a really different or non-belief system. And I think my grandmother would be pointing out for hell for so many people. So what do you think about that? I mean, how do we combat that? Because a lot of the articles say that this generation has 68 million, that they're killing God, that this is the last one to put the nail in them.
Man, well,
I mean, that's pretty intense.
I have a lot more hope in this generation than that.
Well, I do too, but when I came in here, people started, when I asked people, they go, I don't believe. I'm an atheist. And one of the things they would talk about, these big churches, these are just rock concerts. And like one girl said, I want to have a relationship with God. I don't want to have what's being put on. A smoke machine's not going to do it. That's not Jesus.
Yeah, they crave authenticity, and I think
and that's that authentic feeling. So
I think this generation's grown up in such a me-focused world. Not to say that they are focused on me, but they've been told to like look in and look at yourself, and it's all about you, and click, 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 and tap, tap, tap with the phones. That I think so many people they've grown up thinking that they have to make everything their own. They don't want to follow the trends. They don't want to follow maybe what their family or their parents have done. They want to figure out their future by themselves, and that's great. You should figure out where God's called you and where you're supposed to go. But I do think that I do have a lot of hope in this generation because they do crave that authenticity and that community that I think the church as a whole still wants. But I think this generation sees the church, or they see the brick and mortar building, and they go, oh, I don't need to go in there to experience God. And the church is much bigger than the building. And so I think that's where the church right now is shifting and trying to figure out, okay, how do we connect with this generation and show them true relationship with Jesus and what it looks like. And so you see a lot of churches getting creative, and you see a lot of folks who are in leadership trying to reach out and go outside of the walls. A large part of why I reached out to you and going, hey, we want to be a partner to Vol State. We want to be a partner to these students and be, hands and feet of Christ outside of the building.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why the podcast was started, because I just kept putting it in the back burner. And I guess God kept saying, no, I'm interested in this. And then I'd never never watched the podcast, never viewed them, never created them, anything. And then I met this young lady, then I met Stanley, and excuse me, and all of a sudden, that first person sat down in front of me, and I had her in class. I started asking her questions, and she talked about how, they used to go to church, but they don't anymore because they went on I think it was a summer Bible trip or something, and I guess their brother got bullied or whatever, and you know what I mean, the typical kind of stuff, and that was left over. Then I had women that were on here and talked about one of the things that bothered them is, should women be allowed to preach from the pulpit? Well, this generation, it's like, yes, of course, you're not going to, hold me down or anything. And I had a young lady, oh gosh, she was so sharp. She went to Charis Bible College out in Colorado. I got to tell you, she had game. I mean, we did 2 episodes with her. That's how intense she was. And when I talked about women in the church, she said, people are wrong. That Bible does not say that I can be left out. And I was like, whoa, man. So that's pretty wild as far as that goes. So they're different in so many ways. But in all the time I've done it, I haven't walked away thinking, oh, this is depressing. This is, we're headed to the pits. In fact, for me, it's been just the reverse. I think they are the solution to what's coming.
Absolutely. I was telling you earlier, I went to the Passion Conference in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and I've never been, I was telling my wife, this is the closest experience to heaven I feel like I've ever encountered. 20,000 young adults, 18 to 25, just wholehearted praising Jesus. And I got in the subway that night, and I was looking around, and here I am, the old guy, looking around at all of these young adults on fire and in love and passionate for Jesus. And I'm going, okay, we're going to be fine. This next generation wants Jesus, and maybe more in a more authentic way than previous generations have ever experienced or we've ever seen. So I'm right there with you. There's great hope.
That's the way I feel. I get into class, and I know I'm not supposed to preach, but what the heck? I guess with tenure, and I'm the old guy. guy. I'm like, I don't know. I probably shouldn't say this, but it's one of those good things about being old. I think I'm in Tennessee, one of the most conservative states in the country.
Sure.
If I had a gun, a Bible, and I was violating somebody, I think I could take my chances in court here, and I think I'm going to come out okay. So I just go ahead and go for it. Plus, there's so many references to the Bible in economics, so it's kind of neat. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is when I do connect with them and I do get to know them a little bit better, like Chloe's helping us with the social media stuff that works at the coffee shop, I mean, I find them to be just like you. I'm more optimistic.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are you
100%.
talking about? These people want authentic,
Yeah.
on fire. They want turn the smoke machine off. Let's
Yeah.
get real with Jesus and go forward. And and we're going to try to do our first Bible study. I think it's in March, led by the students. And so I'm just stoked.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me is I want to get in there and let's do it the Fuquay way. I don't think that's the plan. So
Well, and I think this generation has more grit than, going back 100 years. You have a generation that has gone through, think about from 2000 to 2025, you've gone through so many crazy world events. You've gone through COVID, you've gone through so much change that they've been forced to be flexible and really just on their feet. And and I think that's impacted their faith too. They're going, okay, I gotta learn what my faith is, and I gotta learn who Jesus is, and I gotta learn for myself because man, the world it's shaky.
Yeah.
So my foundation needs to be in something, and I think a lot of them are finding truth in God's Word and in community, and it gets me excited because they're a gritty generation.
Well, what's the hardest thing you've run into? I mean, there's got to be challenges. What's the toughest? Because you guys seem to be well-funded. You have an outreach. You have a heart for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Sumner County.
Yeah.
There's 95 counties in Tennessee. If I remember my statistics right, this is the 9th wealthiest. So as far as Tennessee goes, I mean, we're living in the land of milk and honey, compared to the poor ones.
Yeah.
And so we have these kids that a lot of their parents, are middle class, upper middle class, are educated and everything.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the kingdom for Jesus. There's got to be struggles in there and challenges. So.
Oh man, on the spot, I'd say just not convincing people, but saying, hey, we have something good here. Come and join us.
Right.
There's so many things that are fighting for everybody's attention now.
Right.
Whether it's binging a Netflix show or going to a Predators game or just hanging out on your phone or going to Cave by yourself. I think part of my desire is to say like, hey man, the church is doing some really cool things. Right. Come join us. So getting that commitment and that bought-in mentality is maybe one of the hardest struggles because, again, like I said earlier, you got to gain people's trust.
Right.
And so it's trying to pull people in to be a part of that community. It's probably the hardest part, is pulling them away from whatever they're already distracted with or involved with.
Get those people from Greenbrier. Let go of that Waffle House.
Come down off the ridge.
Down. Yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, this is an advertisement for your church, but I love that stuff you were sharing before we came in here about doing casseroles. I mean, that to me, I don't know why. That's so simple.
Yeah.
But I think, and then the dental thing, because I got to tell you, that really touches me because in my lifetime, I've been very fortunate. My dad had a good job. He was in the military, and so we had dental, as far as that goes. But I can't tell you how many people I've run into in my life that struggle with that. And I don't know why. I've never thought, why doesn't the church get it? I've never heard of a church ever doing that.
Yeah. I've never been a part of a church that is so outwardly focused. Like you were saying, we have a dental bay clinic in our building where we have 2 huge bays where we service dental days. In March, I believe, in the spring, I'll just be general, we do a big dental day for folks who don't have any dental insurance. And so we set up the gym and we've got people that come in and service them. And I mean, it is incredible to see how something that we take so for granted can be so life-changing and impactful
I bet their hearts,
for the community. And the casseroles, we do Casserole Corner. We have a group of folks who are passionate about handing out hot breakfast here in Gallatin. And I think they've done it every Wednesday for weeks and months and years. I forget what corner it's on.
It's all empties. Everybody's ready.
Yeah, they're faithful. They make up, 100 casseroles and they go to, this corner in Gallatin and they pass out casseroles, a tangible piece that can be such a great gift for folks. And
that's awesome.
I think that is so impactful because people have seen a consistency.
Right.
And I think for the church, being consistent and being faithful and being outwardly focused, it speaks volumes. I mean, that's what the gospel is go out into the world and be my hands and feet.
Well, the real interesting thing, mentioning that, like Rachel, who does this with me, she's an accountant, so she has her mind. She has that really rational mind.
Yeah.
I'm the free flowing whatever. Hey, what's up? Whatever's going. Which is why I think we make a good pair. But the bottom line is, she says we have to be consistent.
Yeah.
We have to, if we're going to do this thing in Cave, then what's next? What's next? What's next? And that's the thing I get frustrated by is I'm all go, 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 and then I have to go to a bureaucracy and say, can we do this? And I'm thinking we're trying to infuse the school. This school used to be a lot more active. We used to have a lot more students that would stick around, things going on. And the pandemic and other things literally have killed it.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing that attacked their spirit also attacks the personal side.
Yeah.
And when you lump it all together, it's just, you ask most of them and they will tell you, if you're still here after one, it's a ghost town.
Wow.
So it's dead. And so it's kind of like, in the church, if you don't get those 80-something million, Gen Zers, we're going to have a real problem.
That's true.
So to me, it's like, I feel like we're field testing them out there on the campus, for the church, because what we're talking about doing is the same thing you're doing, and it's all the same challenge. It's building community, it's being consistent, it's trying to let them know that we're here for them, et cetera, as far as doing it. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. There's an optimism about this group in the face of depression that I just think is, just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And I think what you're doing is great because so many people get into college and they do it so much alone. They're so lonely.
Oh,
so for you guys to provide opportunities here on campus to say, hey, if you're lonely or hey, you're looking for a true faith in Jesus, like we've got that for you and we'd love to offer it. So
well, let me before I ask you, I'm gonna ask you. I had a couple of controversial things popped up my head that we usually ask. I'm gonna put you on the spot. But yeah, I agree with you. But it's weird. When we're sitting here, looking at them, we think, well, they only pass through here real quick, 2 years. Some of them will linger for 3, but for the most part, 2 years. So they're gone.
Yeah.
And so whatever you're going to do, you need to do it now. And I went back and watched an old Billy Graham sermon the other day, and it's only 4 minutes long, and it's titled Life is Short. And he goes back and talks how many minutes, how many hours, how many days. And then there's a book by John Bevere that I really like called Driven by Eternity. And so he talks about how long is eternity. In other words, this interview in a flicker of time, we're gone.
Yeah.
So it's called it a vapor or whatever. And he says, if you will think in those terms, you will behave in different terms.
100%.
And that's the way to go.
Yeah.
So how do I convince these people who live in the now that, eternity is upon us? I mean, we got work to do.
Yeah.
And you got a part to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's giddy up.
Yeah, giddy up and let's build relationships and do life together. So,
okay, we'll get them. All right, these are the controversial things that I usually, they're not too bad. Well, I get a lot of kids in here that identify as Christians. And one of the hardest things I ask them, I said, well, how do you deal with people on the campus, because when they get together in their private time or whatever, and they talk about issues like, the LBGTQI, et cetera, as a Christian, so how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
So, and they love to ask that question, well, what do you think about that, Mr. Fugman? I don't know if I want to answer, or whatever. So as obviously a leader in the church, how do y'all deal with that?
Yeah, I mean,
because they don't back away from it. They want to know.
No.
What do you think?
Well, I think half of being heard is, like I said earlier, being consistent and being relational and building that trust. So I think if you're walking through the quad and somebody asks you a controversial question like that, that's pretty hard on the spot because
it is.
There's not a trust factor. There's no history right there. For
and they're
me,
sitting there leaned in. I mean, they're like, whoa, let's go check this Tex guy
out. So
out.
your instant feeling is like, oh, I need to spit out verses and I need to back it up with truth.
That's me, and I'm like, whoa, and I've taught for a long time.
Yeah.
So I used to teach government class, so I've had this bombarded on me, and they really want to know, what do you think and why? And I'm like, wow. So I thought to be a minister in a church, I don't know. I might have to get a little card, print it out, like I said, have all the quotes ready to go.
For me, my heart is to slow things down. It's never to rush into giving answers, but to learning someone's history, where they're coming from.
I like that.
Where their heart is, maybe why the question's being asked. Because if you don't understand somebody's motive or their history, they may not want to hear your answer anyway. They may just be looking for a fight, or maybe whatever you say will be harsh anyways. So for me, I'd say, hey, you want to go get cave? I'll pay for the salty Santa.
Then we're
with
talking.
the cold foam. We sit down, we talk. I get to know you, you get to know me.
Yeah.
And then you're breaking down walls, you're breaking down barriers, and that way too, when I go, hey, here's what Scripture says about X, Y, or Z. You can see my heart and see where my truth is landed is in Scripture.
And then there's the respect for it that comes through the delivery. The woman that I was telling you about that was from Colorado who had gone to the Bible college, she was very blunt, very direct. She says, I believe in the Bible literally. I believe it's the Word of God, and that's what I follow and I believe. But I love you with the love of the Lord, and you're my friend, and I respect you. I don't agree with you, and I'm going to follow God. But, you know, she was just very straightforward, and she wasn't harsh, and she wasn't mean. But she said, I'm still going to love you, and I'm still going to pray for you. And if we can still be friends as a result of that, that's fine. But if we can't, that's fine too.
I have a family.
And I was very honest, very open, very kind. I was like, oh, well, that's the one I'm going with.
And I have a family member who lives a different lifestyle than I agree with, but part of my walk with him throughout my life has been, it was tough at first because I'm very black and white, and I'm going, well, what you're doing is I don't agree with. Well, I've learned that to love him and to learn where he's at and what he's doing, it's better to sit down and talk and love and not focus on the big thing that I'm struggling with, but to just sit down and go, hey, man, I love you. You know.
But I think you're right about the context of where you're sitting, like to slow things down and do that, because obviously in class you got 40 people. There's a percentage in there that maybe have an agenda you don't know. I've just met them, you know, and you don't know me. And so the more I'm into the semester, the more I try to get to know them and then relate to them. And then if I see them out, you know, talk to them. And if you said a question in the class, I said, well, I don't really have time right now. Can we talk about that later? I don't forget it. I come back later. So they'll know I'm not trying to avoid you or drop the ball. Because about this generation, I've noticed, 'cause I've done this a long time, don't leave me hanging. That you heard me. I asked you in a very sincere, honest way, and I'd like a respectful, sincere, honest answer. And that's the part I love about them, because I like that moment when you share that.
When I was a high school principal, I'd get emails from parents or whoever, and in the moment I'd want to answer back and be like, well, this is why we did it, and this is why I think. But I learned as I was an administrator to take time and go, hey, I'm going to take 24 hours. I'm going to flag this to remind me to email them back in 24 hours. It's going to give me time to slow down, take a breath, be calm and balanced, and make sure that my response is respectful. It's got truth. And so that's part of my heart, and like, hey, not taking those questions right off the bat and going, hey, here's what Scripture says. It's like, hey, let's slow down. Let's have a conversation. Let me introduce you to what Scripture says, and here's my heart. And
so what's the future for Tex Cook?
Oh, the future for Tex Cook? Well, I got lunch in an hour. And it's my daughter's birthday today, so I'll be skating this
Well, I knew you had the birthday
afternoon.
and everything, but I'm just curious because the journey that you shared outside, a little bit of what you in here, I get the feeling you're headed to other places eventually.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean, you know, do you want to be the pastor of a church? Do you want to be, or I don't know if we should say that on here.
No, I feel like God has been so faithful these last few years, and I used to be a high school principal and had a business. I got my pilot's license, and so I've seen it and been able to dabble in different things. And I feel like what I was telling you outside is when I was running my business and working from home, I just miss working with people. And so being back in the church community, being back working and brushing shoulders with folks in the office and being at church, I'm in my sweet spot right now. And I really, when I applied for the position I'm in, I told our executive pastor, like, this is a dream job. Like for me to be able to do life with young adults, to do life empowering parents and equipping parents and being there for families, like my focus right now is right here. And
well, you're definitely in the right spot.
Wow.
This area, I mean, there's 100 people a day that still move to Nashville. It's been that way for over 5 years.
I believe it.
Now, California, there's a lot of the conservatives who will say, some liberals bringing up my ideas, whatever. But anyway, there's obviously a lot of people moving here. And this area is, pretty good compared to a lot of others.
Sure.
And so you have lots of people here. You got the resources and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I've always kind of wondered why, since you live over in Greenbrier and I do, Why? There's never seems to be a church that seems to take hold over there, or if it does, I haven't seen it.
There's a great church now.
Is there?
Yeah, so when we moved there in fall of 21, there's a church called Agape Church.
Is that the one up in the strip mall?
Yeah, right by the donut shop.
Is that right?
Best donuts in town.
Is that
so
right?
Agape Church, they've been there a few years, and when we moved up there, we got plugged in, and it's a phenomenal community, wonderful pastor. So I think you're going to start seeing more of those churches pop up because people are starting to leave the city. And
Oh yeah, the growth there. There's a lot of people. Not as I like to say, you're not from here, are you?
Yeah.
Hey, you aren't from here. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not originally from here. No. So that's the old school that's left over. But with the growth and everything, I just kept thinking, well, I don't know. I wasn't actually looking around hunting, but I just didn't see anything.
Yeah, so they actually just bought the property right behind Waffle House. So I think they're planning to build there in the next few years. So.
Well, that's pretty cool.
But I think you will start to see
non-denominational church.
Yeah, it's a great church. But I think you're going to start seeing that in the smaller rural towns when folks are trying to get outside of the busy city and find a little bit of peace and quiet like we did. A little bit, some of those different resources and folks moving out. So.
Well, one thing you said, I don't know, this just jumped in my head here, sitting here. I was thinking, those people that are in those areas like Greenbrier that are moving in, that are going to grow as far as that goes, it'll be interesting to see what kind of plant they make spiritually in the community, because that's still a conservative, the Methodists and the Baptists hadn't taken down a lot of the signs. They kept them, and stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of people get planted, because one of the things I've found interesting, a lot of churches do their growth during the week. Like you said, not Sunday, but it's out, in small groups where they get together and do their study and praying for each other and things like that.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that'd be really cool.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great area. I think it's going to grow.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
No doubt about it. All right, well, I'm trying to think, is there anything else we can ask you?
Oh, man, I don't know.
Or that you want to confess to?
Father, no. It's an honor to be on the podcast, honor to be here in Sumner County.
We appreciate it.
We're super pumped to be partnering with you guys.
Yeah, well, we're really excited about it. And like I said, when he reached out to us, he talked about somebody donated a food truck to
We
you.
have a food truck, yeah.
And they're willing to bring the donuts. And if we could just get the Vol State Administration a little nudge, which I know we'll be able to do here soon, that we could go ahead and get those donuts out and give you all the praise and the credit.
Oh, we don't need praise and credit. We just want to partner. We're on the same team.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, listen, that's it we have for today. We'll be having some new students on this semester. If you're interested and you see this, just feel free to walk up to me on campus. I love to meet new people all the time, whether I have you in class or not. And we'll just look forward to it then. So God bless you and have a happy day.